and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. We have a lot of our staff folks here. We have some new folks in the audience here.
Jim Cannon, I'm a citizen of Lincoln.
Jim Cannon.
Joseph Bartolini, legislator for 22nd District, is coming here.
Thank you. All right, we have approval of the minutes for last month, please. Okay, we have a first and second. Goes through. All right, let's get into the resolutions of the day. HS1 is a resolution approving park and recreation fees. Can I have a open for discussion?
Second.
A second? Okay. All right. Any questions on this, what we're doing here? What this is all about? Anybody had a chance to take a peek at it? Brian, you want to get into talking on this a little bit?
Sure. So every couple of years, we visit the fees that we charge to rent Camp Olive or Camp Zerby, some camper fees, etc. We take a look at where we're at and where things are going, and we haven't done it in a couple of years. The proposal that I put out there doesn't impact the youth portion of it. This is the non-youth for rentals, and the camper fees for Camp Olive is $5, and Camp Zerby is $10. Both very well below the average of what we're competing with. Without naming any other camps, we are over $200 lower per week than another camp in the area. So I feel like we're still low, but when we look at the offsetting of minimum wage, which is something we have to pay for rentals, and then with the power challenges we have, whether it's our providers, everybody's seen that increase. So this will help offset that. And moving along as well, like I said, I look at this every couple of years, and if I did not, minimum wage goes up 50 cents every year. So you do the math on, 30 plus employees. So this is a proposal we put out there to help the bottom line, and thank you.
Do you have any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we're
Thank you.
okay. We can move on to HS2. HS2 is a resolution authorizing budget modifications, Bureau of Parks and Recreation, Department to transfer funds from insurance recovery fund into the Camp House supplies and expenses. Anyone have that motion? First and second. Open for discussion. Ryan, can you speak to this a little bit, just to tell us?
Yep, so this is insurance money we received back. We had a split on our heating air conditioning unit at Camp Hollis. Last spring, the ice came off the roof, took it out. So this is basically the insurance money reimbursing us for that damage.
Okay, Brian, did you approach Building and Grounds about building a small roof over the top of this, so we don't have to look at this again?
We are hopeful to, yes, we have talked to them to avoid this happening, and we're aware. I don't know what they're doing, but they're aware of it. I will revisit that with them, but we talked about how to avoid this happening in the future.
It's crazy not to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, a few 2x4s and some plywood and a couple rafters and it'll solve the problem.
Yep, nope, I agree 100%, and I will follow up with them, if not my own maintenance man, to see if they can do that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
With the work up in Camp Zerby, did that get started?
It did. It's rolling along. That'll be in my report. It is going.
All right,
Going strong. I have that all in my report coming up, but yes.
all right, good.
Any further on the HS2? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, HS3, resolution appointing members to the Community Service Board.
Hi, I'm Kathy Rice.
Hang on for 1 minute.
Oh, sorry.
Have a resolution or a vote to bring it to the floor for discussion.
Move it.
Second.
First and second. Okay, now, if you'd like to speak.
Thank you.
can.
Appreciate that. The Community Services Board, there's supposed to be 15 individuals on the board through the Division of Mental Hygiene for the local government unit. This is just filling 2 of the 15, and it currently will bring us up to about, I believe, 13 on the board. So Elizabeth comes with much experience. She works at Oswego County Opportunities and also serves in a couple of different roles, but including a peer that we need for the board, which will be an asset, and Travis Bullock, who used to oversee the Oswego County Suicide Prevention Coalition through Farnham and now works for Connects Care.
Nice. Well, it's nice to see some folks that are, willing to step up and come on that board. That's a good one to, good 2 people to have. Any questions, Richard?
Yeah, these people are on this board, but they're not employees of the county. Does somebody do some background check on people we put on these boards?
They submit an application to our board, and they go
I'm
through.
sorry.
They submit an application to the Community Services Board, and they are approved through the board before it comes here to the Human Services Committee. No background check. A lot of them are from various agencies. I think we only have one that actually is a community member on the board, and he is actually retired from OCO. He was the Deputy Executive Director, Patrick Waite.
That doesn't answer my question.
No background check.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? One opposed? Only 4 of you that means it fails. What's that? Only 4 of you that means it fails. All right, so we're gonna have to, we'll put this off for 1 month then, it could be brought back. We can, pardon?
You table it.
Yeah, we've already voted.
All right, put it off for a month.
We'll bring it back next month then. No, I'm sorry, we can bring it back on January 1st or 2nd for, well, it's gonna be after the February meeting, right?
February?
We can do a walkout in January if the chairman's okay with it. Well,
Already decided.
why don't we do it as a walkout when both are here and we can make this thing move forward. Good.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, HS4. Resolution authorizing professional contract senior nutrition services office for the aging. We have a motion. Second. All right, Sarah, why don't you go ahead and fill us in with your paperwork and everything.
Sure. Well, this is for our senior nutrition, which includes both home delivered meals and congregate meals, as well as nutrition counseling, nutrition education, the delivery of the meals. It went out for proposal a second time. We received 4 responses. Of the responses we received, only one met all of the requirements, and that was OCO, our current provider. The other providers, one was only going to do home delivered meals. They did not include the dining center meals. One did frozen meals weekly, so they'd be receiving between 10 or 14 if they received weekend meals. The third one did not have a complete proposal, and they did not provide information on weekend meals, that they'd be able to provide weekend meals. So of the 4, again, only our current provider was able to meet all the requirements, and their cost came in lower than they did when we put it out for proposal earlier this year. So there's a little bit of savings as well in the county budget with their new proposal.
Okay, do you have any questions? Richard?
Yes. Sarah, to the maximum number of meals, 272,500. How many do we have right now going out?
That is what I'm anticipating this year's number will be. So I put in my budget for next year what we are doing this year, what I'm anticipating, estimating for this year.
What if that goes over that? Because economic times are quite challenging now.
If it does go over it, I do a monthly, I track monthly and then extrapolate it out what I think is going to be for the year. I would have to come back and say, this is what we're looking to go over. I do have unmet need money that can be used for it, so it wouldn't be additional cost. It'd be additional money moved from my unmet need line to meal service, but it would have to come back to make a change to the contract if we're going to go over the maximum number.
Sarah, can you speak to the frozen ones just a little bit, just to let us know what they were, what
Brooklyn
concerns are with it?
Brooklyn Kitchen, they were delivering frozen meals, so they would be doing it once a week. So they would be getting 10 to 14 meals that would have to be stored in the freezer, to the frozen meal. And they're not getting that daily check-in. So they're not getting, they did say they would call twice a week, but again, that's only 3 days a week. The 1 week when they get the delivery, and other 2 days would be a phone call to them asking them how they're doing. Whereas with OCO, they do a daily check. They deliver the meal right to them. They have to see the person to make sure they're okay.
Now, were they delivered meals? How were they going to get them distributed to those folks from Brooklyn?
They didn't really say in there. It was either going to be their driver or their staff somehow getting there, and their kitchen is in Brooklyn. It's not a local kitchen. Or it would be through a delivery service like UPS or somewhere in our box.
Okay. Now, ESO consultants, what were they? Were they
ESO consultant, let's see.
not the longest, but
They were Golden Corral, so
Okay.
Syracuse, PC. So they had a different business name where they presented. The menu that they presented, with the nutrition analysis for that menu did not match up.
Yeah.
And they also did not provide information on weekend meals. But the nutrition analysis for one meal was very low for the sodium, and for the meal that they presented on that day, it did not jive. We had a former registered dietitian and our current registered dietitian looking at them and said, no, there's no way that nutrition analysis is complete for that meal that they proposed for that day.
they also said here that the meal service is delayed 30 to 60 days or something.
Right, they wouldn't be able to start immediately. They would have to get geared up to find locations for the dining centers, as well as, get their staff in place. They originally had said that they were going to have a kitchen here, or they were buying a restaurant in Fulton and they would have a kitchen here that they utilize, but in this second proposal, it had made no mention of that. So their kitchen would still be in Syracuse. They'd be delivering a hot meal. That's also another concern, for them to get the hot food from Syracuse to all of our home delivered meal recipients within that 2-hour window, which is required.
No, I can understand why the decision was made to go with OCO. Anybody else with any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
That is our last resolution. So we're going to go ahead and move on to reporting. Okay. Youth Bureau, updates.
Hey, so we just entered our RAP, which is our resource allocation plan on the state's server, that Otsego County will be receiving $355,622 in state aid that we allocate to 23 different programs for 2026. So that will be coming forward. We just wrapped up a 9-week collaboration with SUNY Oswego. Their Psych 45 students had 30 kids who would attend programming weekly at Camp Hollis and Legends Fields. Noble Electric is finishing up this week our CFA project at Camp Hollis, which is the electrical work that they had to do out there since we did all the other updates, so this had to be done. Putting things together for 2026, some things I'm working with my staff on going forward. Veronica, you'll probably be happy to hear this one. All our rentals and campers are going virtual, so everything will be online, so the paper trail will be gone, which I think that helps everybody with that. We've already been doing it with campers. And now we're looking to do it with rentals, so that will alleviate any of those problems. This past weekend, our registration for camps open on January 1st. We get people who call immediately and start booking. This past weekend, my office was involved with the City of Oswego tree lightings. Again, it was very crowded to where they were at. All good reports coming out of that. We had over 500 kids who submitted coloring contests and letters to Santa so far that we will be responding to. We have college students working in our office along with that. Our Leadership of Oswego County Youth students recently had their Breakfast of Champions. If you've taken the adult class, you know what that is, but that is a program where they work as a small community. They have to work together, solve issues. They get all the curveballs. You see it like thrown at you all the time. For DSS, you guys get picked on them every once in a while, just from struggles that people come across to have you understand where they go. We are continuing our partnerships with Splash and the Press Box on our reading programs, and those have been moving along well. So offering Splash or Youth Bureau nights at Splash, the indoor water park, and free pizza coupons at the Press Box have been positive this year. We have a few different Christmas things coming up. I'll be passing out flyers. One is in Hannibal and one is in Fulton. So those will be coming up. We, let me see here. For AmeriCorps, we just wrapped up the year. We had 30 members at 7 different sites complete their service this past year. And we just started the next year, November 1st. So we're moving on. Camp Foundations and the Fulton War Memorial have already taken on new members for this year, and we continue to grow with that. Our trunk or treat that we had at the Speedway, we had 950 kids come through, over 60 vendors. We do have our next Oswego State event coming up this Saturday is the women's hockey night that they'll have up there. So we have flyers for that. Our YLA program, which is our youth leadership program, they just raised $250 worth of goods for the food pantry at Catholic Charities. Our men's softball completed at Legends. All went well there. They're requesting to expand next year, so we'll be working with them on the off season to find availability. They're currently working on moving the fence at Legends. I was there last week. The work in the outfield was pretty much done. The posts were in. So barring weather, they'll get that completed this fall, if not early spring, but we're hoping to get it done this fall. We did get some new equipment to help with offsetting maintenance of the turf going forward, so that'll be good. At Camp Zerby, the new roof repairs are being done. Last week when I last checked in, they were moving along. They said they anticipated no problems, they'll get it done. we are working with the Help Me Go program to help store diapers out in that part of the county. So that's a site that we're working with Zerby to be a host to do that. We're currently installing cameras out there. My staff out there is continuing to work on the disc golf course, just maintaining, expanding on what the course looks like. We had 2 rentals that were left as of 2 weeks ago. I believe 1 still goes. We're contemplating a year's part, talking about possibly doing, and we are working with SUNY Oswego to do a schools out partnership, utilizing the college's facilities to offer programming such as camps out there daily throughout the 2-week winter break. So that's about it. I did not kill the ink on our printer. These all go to school, so they're left. This is the women's hockey flyer. You can take it if you'd like. We have this one right here is for the Fulton Special Events Committee, Hannibal, and then we also have a holiday break camp that we ran last year at Camp Hollis. We're going to do it again this year. It's a 2-day camp, January 2nd and 3rd, and that flyer is right there if you're interested in that. That's what I got.
I just want to go back a little bit here. There is a committee review and decisions under that, a request to set salaries for social service attorney. That is actually going to be handled through the finance committee. So it's on here for us to at least be aware that that's going to be coming up. So if anybody has any questions on that. All right, next up is going to be Veterans Services.
I don't have a lot to update. Our holiday season being here, usually the VA, their manning gets cut, they drop down, so everything kind of slows down as far as the claims being processed. And that historically, that reflects in the veterans that we get as well. So our influx of veterans drops, and that this year has not been good. So we are still just as busy. I tried to step back from claims so I can focus on the Dwyer the next year. And between people requesting me by name or contacting me on my cell phone, I'm still like super busy. So the office is still bringing in. And why that has it, we're starting to see those veterans that are born in the 70s and 80s instead of just the ones born in the 50s and 60s. So those younger veterans are coming in, the ones that are still working, that are getting ready to retire. We have a few that are in the 90s, 2000s, been in 4 or 5 years. And those are the ones that next year, when we get the Dwyer thing going, I really hope that we can get a handle on, so that we can, they're the ones that need it the most, because a lot of these older veterans, unfortunately, they spend their whole life not filing, don't think they deserve it, and they end up on their deathbed and their spouse doesn't know what to do, and we start filing claims for them, finding out 15, 20 years ago they could have been receiving compensation, they could have been receiving health care, but they didn't want it, they didn't want to file. And that puts the family in kind of a spot, in a bind. I've had some that have passed away with claims still in work, but there is a process that we do to make sure that those get completed and the surviving spouse still gets what's owed to them, what would have been owed to the veteran before the veteran had passed. That seems to be more prominent. We seem to be having more and more deaths coming into our office, which is why we created Your Legacy. That's getting out there now. I have more and more people request those, so it's almost to the point where I'm going to have those mass produced. Because right now I'm printing them out and creating them and just putting them together myself and handing them out. Other than that, just waiting to get this Dwyer thing going. I'm still super excited about that. I can't wait till the first of the year. So.
Anything for Brian or for Eric? Go ahead.
I just want to thank you for the job you've been doing, because I know you just took over not long ago, but you've made good steps in the right direction.
I hope so.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Office of the Aging, Sarah.
Okay, so Medicare open enrollment ends Sunday for Medicare Part D. We have about 27 calls left on our call list to return to try to connect. We tried calling a couple times and not been able to connect to them. So we're working on them as well as the appointments are in the office. Anybody that we can't get a hold of, if we still have people on the list, we coming in on Saturday for a couple of hours to try to reach them to make sure that if they do have issues, that they've been addressed before Sunday, which is the last day. We're putting a Facebook post saying no appointment slots available, to call 1-800-MEDICARE, who's open 24/7. So that was posted today. We had our caregiver luncheon, between our last meeting and this meeting. We had 12 participants at the luncheon. Had a nice discussion with the Alzheimer's Association. They came in to talk about what they can do and how they can assist and help. And it's a nice meal was had, so it was a good time. We were able to provide them with bags of items for caregivers. Clocks big clocks that, and you push them and it'll tell you the time and the date, because a lot of our caregivers are someone with a dementia. So for them to have that in the household to know, signs that are big boards that they can write messages on, medication disposal or not disposal, medication dispenser boxes, door alarms. So if somebody opens the door, they know, because you can't lock somebody with dementia in the house, but you can have an alarm on the door if they open the door, so we know that they're going out the door. So we gave them a bag of a lot of nice, useful items for them as being a caregiver. Santa for Seniors closed on, we stopped accepting nominations on November 13th. We received 246 responses. It's the most we've ever received. So on the nomination forms, they could request we limited it to 3 suggestions of gifts. Purchase 1 or all 3. It'd be the adopter's determination on what they would want to. So we're looking to have 250 to 700 plus gifts in our office that we'll be distributing the 2 weeks before Christmas. So again, this is a really big endeavor that we have going on. This coming weekend is Fulton's tree lighting ceremony, and we'll have staff there that'll be doing making Christmas cards with children or adults that'll go in with Santa for Senior bags. And the city of Fulton is also doing a pet food collection for us, because a lot of our seniors, that's what they've asked for, items for their pets. Now I don't need it for myself. Can I get some cat treats or some dog biscuits, something for their pets? So instead of taking away from them, we made a separate notation on their application so that we can get special items to them as well for their pets. So it is, we do those deliveries, and we would love any of you in any of your districts, if you'd like to go out with us when we do a delivery, let us know. We would love to have you tag along with us or meet us at a house when we're doing a delivery, because we can sit here and tell you, and because you go around to your residents in your communities, but it really is heartbreaking to see some of the conditions they live in, number one, and number two, they're just asking for socks. Some, for a used pair of boots because they need a pair of boots. So it is very eye-opening and heartbreaking at times, and the joy that you see on their faces. So like I said, if anybody wants to go and with us when we're doing those deliveries, just let me know, and we'll let you know where we'll be on what days.
Do you know when that's going to start?
It starts the second week before Christmas, so we'll be doing it the first those 2 weeks leading up to Christmas.
Can you put my name on that one? Sure. I'd like to do that in my area.
Sure. Mat benches, we, City BOCES delivered 4 of them. The week of November 17th. So we had the Mexico bench, the Pulaski bench, the Phoenix bench, and the Fulton bench were all delivered and placed and set up. The two that are going to be here in Oswego, one up at our office and one at Shapiro Park, hasn't been placed yet. So once the last two will be get placed, we'll get a press release out for the, joint community effort with the Office of Mental Hygiene. They supported or funded our program, City BOCES students who constructed them, and as well as all the municipalities that are working with us to get the chat is out in the community. Everybody else who wants to participate in that. If you want to come take a picture of you sitting on a bench and talking, that would be lovely. But everybody, when we delivered them, they seem to be very happy, the municipalities. I think it's the wrong time of year for somebody to go and sit down and have a conversation because it's a little cold, but I really hope that they will be utilized for the purpose that they are, to bring people together. And, if you sit here, you're willing to have a conversation, whether it's with an elderly person or a younger person, whomever it is. If you sit here, that's what this bench is about, is to sit down and start a nice friendly conversation. HEAP officially opened today, so we're getting anybody who has contacted us that's older, age 60 or older, who wants assistance with a new application or needs an application, we can get it out today. And we'll be, we had 40 that we had on our list of people that inquired about it, waiting for HEAP to open. So we'll have, we're going to have at least 40 applications out there very soon, whether they come in to get them or if we mail them out to them. And with as cold as it has been, I'm sure it's going to be a really busy season for us as well as for social services for getting those applications processed. And the last item, GoGo Grandparent, that is our funding that we receive from the State Office for the Aging. We utilize that funding to provide transportation for out-of-county medical appointments. We're waiting to see what our 2026 grant will be, and the way that works is we don't get money here. The state gets it all. They allocate a certain amount of funding to us, and then they pay for the rides directly to GoGo Grandparent. So we don't get the money and then have to send it out. We work off of a tally amount of money. But depending on how much we receive in 2026, we are looking to open it up to in-county medical appointments as well. Because even though with Access, which is terrific, and it runs 7 days a week now, and the time, sometimes it's just hard for an elderly person to wait for a bus to come. It's easier for them to get that taxi transportation or if their Uber driver to come pick them up and get them to where they need to go. So
Do they bring them back? They must bring them back.
they do. The way the system works is that we schedule, right now we are scheduling, we register them and schedule the trip to the appointment. Once their appointment is done, they have an 800 number that they call to request the transportation to come pick them up for the return trip.
Okay.
The taxi company does allow us to schedule the return trip as well if they know. But we are very hesitant to schedule the return trip because we don't know how long that doctor appointment is going to be. Is the doctor running late? Are there additional questions? Do they have to go and do additional, tests or whatever the case may be within the facility? So we're very hesitant to do the return trip, but they do have an 800 number that they call, and it's option 2, pick me up or you drop me off. So it's very simple and easy to use. Yeah. Those are really my updates. Other than we do have a holiday open house. Per se, even though the building really, our door isn't open, we're going to be doing, so from 1 to 3 on December 12th, we're going to have light refreshments, tours of the new space, and we're going to have card making and ornament making stops set up, and we also have a little photo booth for anybody that wants to come out to the office while we're waiting for our official opening. And our official opening probably would be well, when we get security personnel, as well as when we have our dining center in that new space.
Thank you. Let's move into, oh, sorry, go ahead.
What was the 4 locations for the jet mentioned?
The, in Pulaski, it is at the Haldane Center. In Mexico, it is by the gazebo across from the high
Okay.
school. In Phoenix, it is at their community garden, which is, the intersection of Culver and other street, but it's the community garden, I'm sorry, by State Street. Yeah, by the post office, it's in that area. Fulton, it's at Veterans Park overlooking the river, so right across from the municipal building. Right, yes, and then again, Shapiro Park here in Oswego, where they have a pickleball court, and there's a lot going on up there, and then in front of our office. Yeah.
So you're the one that up the old South Park then, with the pickleball courts up. Stop there a little bit.
Shapiro Park, yeah,
Shapiro
up by the middle school, up in that
Now,
area.
does the city allow those benches out there year round? You might want to coordinate with them because.
Yeah, no, we did, and
Okay.
yeah, the mayor is working. Yeah, theirs hasn't been delivered yet, but it'll be out year round. It is a
Okay.
bench that
Okay.
has the cement and pressure treated lumber. But yeah, it'll be out year round.
Your, what you call it, go-go rides or something?
Go grandparent, yes.
Go-go grandparents.
Yep.
Any rides are we providing? How long is this, let me back in this a little bit different. How long has this program been in place?
We started in the spring of 23, maybe?
All right, so we have a couple of years that we
Yeah.
got, a cumulative facts and figures.
Right.
Last year, because we haven't completed this year yet.
Mhm.
Say 2024, how many rides did we give approximately? Do you have an idea?
There were just shy of 200. So it's 100, it's between 190 and 200. I'm not sure what the number is.
Okay, out of those 200, how many are out of?
Those were all out of the, well, we were accommodating one individual for his cancer treatment, going to County Route 45A up by Seneca Hill. So we were doing that one in-county drive. The rest of them were all out of county because that's what it was set up as. Because that is a gap in service here for people who are non-Medicaid, because this is non-Medicaid out of county medical transportation. Because in county, you can utilize access for medical transportation and to doctor's appointments. But those who don't have Medicaid to get to out-of-county medical appointments, they're relying, if they don't drive any longer, they're relying on a relative or a friend or paying a pretty large sum of money for private transportation.
All right, now, who's providing these rides exactly? You said taxis or?
GoGo Grandparent works with Lyft and Uber. So the first year, not a lot of rides were happening because Lyft and Uber doesn't have a lot of drivers around the county. You know, if you're in the city of Oswego or city of Fulton, yeah, so those rides were being accommodated. They just added in New York Transportation Taxi. So that is a taxi company which we've had really good luck with for the other outlying areas. So we have riders in Tennillville and Pulaski and Hannibal, Mexico, all over, and they've been able to accommodate those trips. New York Transportation.
Now, if I understood you right, that also means that the person can call some 800 number or whatever to get a ride back or whatever.
Right, as part of it, when I register them, I send them a letter saying, you have registered for GoGo Grandparent, welcome. To schedule your ride, call our office, 3484. For your return trip, you'll schedule your return trip, and I put the phone number in there, and then I'd also do a little quarter sheet or a third sheet of paper that has that information on it as well for them to have. What the phone number is, and if you're returning to what option, press option 2 to be picked up where you were dropped off to return home. So they receive all of that information. Also, as part of it, 24 hours before the ride, they get a reminder, whether it's a text message or a phone call or an email from whatever provider it is, reminding them of their trip the next day.
Just concerned about the time in between, because I know like hematology, oncology, that's the place to go, and this part of the matter of fact, it serves all the way to Rochester, all the way to Binghamton, all the way to the Canadian border, and on the other side of Utica.
For this particular program, the max mileage to an appointment or to that medical appointment is 100 miles. So anything over 100 miles.
Round trip or one way?
One way.
That would serve our county.
Right. It serves our county internally when we go internal, but also if you get somebody to Rochester. We have most of the rides or the appointments are to Syracuse. Or Syracuse proper.
Well, yeah,
That's where all the
let's
specialties
be honest
are.
about it. I mean, they have so much more to offer than, say, a SUDO hospital. Let's be real.
Yeah.
All right. It's been successful so far.
It has. My scheduler took another position, so I've been doing it. And the last couple of months since I've been doing it, I would say between 25 and 35 rides I'm scheduling. That's the one way, and now they're coming back too, so.
All right, now, a Lyft driver, an Uber driver, say somebody goes into oncology, I'll use that for example, I'm very familiar with it, unfortunately, that's near there. An infusion can take 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
Right.
A scan can be any time, it could be anywhere from 2 to 4 hours also.
Right.
Are they having luck, I say they, the subject, having luck grabbing a Lyft driver to take them, say, from, that's in Brittenfield, 5008 Brittenfield to be exact, to, we'll say, Redfield, because they got cancer up there. Are they having any trouble getting somebody to service that far?
That person from Redfield, I would tell them to use New York Transportation.
Okay.
And when they do their return trip, request New York Transportation. And that has been very successful. I haven't heard of any dropped rides with them. When we started, I had a 90-plus-year-old that was stuck in Syracuse after. I agree with you 110%, and I was all over that. They did get home. They had a neighbor that could go and get them, but we weren't scheduling any rides for a while because of that, because I wanted to make sure that that was not going to be an issue or something to happen again. We have not had that since. I've had some people contact me and say they haven't gotten picked up for their trip. So one of the caveats when they schedule it, I say, this is utilizing Lyft and Uber, so please have a backup plan for somebody else to transport you in case something were to happen. It's not guaranteed, but it's not guaranteed with OCO either, with their access buses. So, but we're very upfront with them about that this is not an OFA driver, it's not county, it is utilizing Lyft and Uber. And if it's a really important, like a cancer treatment, oncology, then, or going for surgery, we suggest that they have a backup plan as well to get them there. There's no guarantees, but I do every ride I schedule, I say, please get back to me and let me know how the ride goes, especially if there's any issues. And I've had, the new riders that are just a new registered, the calls I've got everything has gone off without a hitch. They're very happy for it. And it's no cost to them. We, as part of the program and the funding that we receive, we allocate some of the funding to go for tips too. And that was, we increased the amount of tip that the Lyft and Uber drivers get, and I think that helped with them picking up the trips as well. But now in the beginning, there were some pretty serious issues that we worked through, but they've all been worked through.
All right, well, I'm glad that we move forward because people don't realize you up in the northern part of the county, it's a medical desert, period.
Yes, and that was one of the things we weren't encouraging anybody from like Redfield and Pennellville and some of those other areas to utilize it because it's very hard to get drivers until they got transportation and they increased their where they were servicing. So once they increased their service area, we're more confident and comfortable, and that's who we recommend as the transportation provider when people call us to high success.
Okay, anyone else? All right, we can go to Lee, we've done the social service.
Okay. So recently there was some media coverage regarding DSS, and I know that some of your constituents have been reaching out to you with regards to that concern. And we did have a meeting today scheduled for 1 o'clock to communicate with Trooper Easton's supervisor. He's the gentleman who was in the media interview that some of you may have seen or gotten calls on. And that was canceled today, but the goal here is to develop a collaborative relationship and clear processes between DSS and the Trooper Division so that we can avoid, unnecessary reporting that may have inaccurate information. And of course, as you know, due to confidentiality laws, when things like this happen, it's very hard for DSS to defend itself because in this case, the case was active and open, and so we're not at liberty to discuss it. But it's clear that we need to develop the relationship between the state troopers to avoid this kind of situation. From my perspective, I don't want anything that undermines public trust in DSS. And I feel that when these types of media coverages happen, the scrutiny is not only impactful to the community who relies on us for our service, but it's impactful to my team in that they do have a very difficult job to do. It's tough to retain people out at DSS. The stressful kind of work that they do, but then when you compile that with the kind of negative media coverage that happens, it can be really difficult for our team. And so I have sent some confidential emails out regarding this to the legislative body, and I will continue to do that to provide updates. But right now it's really about strengthening that relationship, and that's been my goal since I started. We did some meet and greets early on with the police departments, and clearly I think there's a lack of understanding about DSS. We're not a law enforcement agency, and so we don't always have the authority that the public or even law enforcement might believe we have. And so I think that doing some in-service and education is important for us as we move forward to navigate that. Another hot topic has been SNAP and HEAP. So I just wanted to let you know, as Sarah said, I'll jump down to HEAP. It is open today. The funds were received on Friday, so that's moving along. I'm sure there's a big sigh of relief for all of our people who receive benefits. So New York State has confirmed that all November food benefits have been fully issued. Benefits were loaded onto EBT cards between November 9th and the 13th, and random case checks in Oswego County verified the payments. Applications and recertifications for SNAP continue to be accepted and processed without interruption. Residents should continue to attend appointments, submit documentation on time so benefits are not delayed once the state processes and stabilizes. Again, keep open today. Early outreach applications are being entered, but no heating assistant payments can be made until the state officially opens the program. I wrote this before today, so it's today. Households with no heat, a shut-off notice, or less than 3-day fuel supply may be eligible for a one-time emergency payment through temporary assistance. DSS will update the public immediately once the state gives authorization for issuing heating benefits. Temporary assistance, cash assistance programs are not affected by the federal shutdown. Payments for emergency needs, including heating emergencies, continue to be processed. Residents should continue to keep appointments and submit requested verification to avoid delays in eligibility determinations. For Integrated Services Administration, the county is reviewing changes made by New York State over the last 2 years that increased the number of families eligible for child care assistance and increased annual program costs. These changes included higher income limits per family, higher provider payment rates, and the requirement to guarantee a full year of assistance once approved. It used to be 6 months. The county is assessing the financial impact of these statewide changes and will issue a public notice once New York State provides a final direction. So Tiffany is here. She will be communicating with the legislative body about our options and our plans. We don't want to make that announcement now because we do have to wait for it to be approved, but we're going to forecast that information for you. Tiffany, did you add anything to what I said?
Nope, I think you covered. Sending out something to be over today, but just kind of review a little bit of the historical background, the changes that have led us to where we're at, what the options are, what we're looking to do, and then I have a fact sheet here as well that should answer any questions, and I'll give you my information in case you have any additional questions.
The child support programs, so John Ferry, longtime coordinator of child support, retired effective November 29th. So that's the day he started his retirement. His last day was on Friday the 28th. He had, after 29 years of many years of dedicated service to Oswego County, staff celebrated his retirement at a gathering on November 21st, recognizing his commitment, steady leadership, and the positive impact he's had on countless families. We wished him well on his next chapter. The county is monitoring a statewide funding problem for child care assistance. 2 years ago, New York State increased the income limit from 200% for the federal is this mixed up? Yep, this is mixed up. Sorry. Disregard that. That shouldn't be there. Those last 4 budgets don't have anything to do with child care. Okay. Protective services, the unit continues to make progress on the and overdue reports. Since mid-year, open reports have dropped 42%. Bravo. And overdue reports have dropped by 60%. Staffing remains strained, but workflow and accountability improvements are resulting in better outcomes. Adult Protective Service caseloads remain steady and manageable. The Representative Payee Program continues to support nearly 450 vulnerable adults. The unit is fully staffed and prepared for winter-related needs. Mental hygiene, state approval was received to use specialized developmental disability funding to support eligible youth in foster care. Contract updates are underway to include state's 2.6% cost of living increase. Planning continues for 2026 service adjustments and supports for adults age 60 and older. The division will be fully staffed as of December 8th. Kathy, I don't remember the gentleman's name that you hired, but didn't you just hire a new staff
Yes,
too?
December 8th, Christopher Despain will be filling the position of Adult Services Coordinator. He's transferring over from probation.
Thank you. Implementation of the Precision Care record keeping system continues with accurate reporting expected in January. Fiscal and accounting, Staffing sits at 16% vacancy. Overpayment recoveries remain consistent. Claims for reimbursement are up to date and in line with expectations, and no fiscal concerns for end of year closeout. I tried to make it a small agenda, knowing that the few hot topics would be the media release and the benefits, and so we're breathing a little sigh of relief. So, but you do have all of our statistics if anybody has any questions.
I do, Lee.
Yeah.
We used to get a breakdown prior to you being with us of where we stood with the state in terms of our rankings, in terms of the county's ability to keep up and maintain. And they were down quite a bit. It'd be interesting to see where you're at overall with each group in comparison to what it used to show. I don't know if that makes sense for you, but
Yeah.
it would be nice to see that, because I think there's been a big change, and, you know, I think we're doing a great job out there.
Yeah, and I think some of the reporting, you know, when you look at the numbers of where we were, the closing team,
Right.
those types of things that we implemented, and the positive impact it's had, are going to be significant. So,
That'll be interesting.
yeah, we can do that.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Lee? Thank you, Lee, for that. I appreciate it. Okay, I do have to call and go to an executive session. 15 seconds.
Creditor financial history of particular person or persons.
What's that?
Creditor financial history of particular person or persons.
If you don't mind, let's turn.